Well, hey guys, I just wanted to jump on here real quick. I won't take a ton of your time, but I wanted to talk about being a leader and more specifically being the head of our households, whether you're a husband, dad, and even if you're not a husband or a dad yet, I want you to keep listening because I guarantee there's something here for you. But I just wanted to talk about just for a minute what I think. That leadership of our home and our household is supposed to look like, and that from a biblical standpoint and from just kind of a healthy place, because I don't think that we talk about this stuff enough. And I think as guys, if you're out there, you're listening to this, sometimes the idea of being the leader of our family can be intimidating, and it can be a little bit scary because either A, nobody modeled that well for us, or B, nobody's really talking about it. Maybe we're not even hearing it at church, and the world's making it look like one thing, and that's confusing. Or maybe it's just like I don't know what that's supposed to look like. Whatever the reason is, I get it. We're not born with a handbook on how to be a man and how to be a leader. And so a lot of this stuff we got to talk about, and we kind of got to get it out on the table. So that's you, and you're leaning into this a little bit. I can't promise you I'm going to give you all the greatest answers in the world, because I'm in process too with my own family and my wife and my job and all that stuff. But I can share a couple things that I've noticed. And so a couple things that I noticed is being a leader really equals being a servant. I think if some people want to be in charge, and maybe it's out of insecurities or whatever, usually probably insecurities, and they want to dominate and they want to domineer and they want to control. And I would say, man, that's definitely has something to do with some insecurities. So if that's you, where you're falling into like this place of leadership where you're like, why am I always trying to control and dominate and make everybody do what I want to do? You're going to want to take that to the Lord. First of all, you're going to want to repent, because that is not a healthy way to lead your family. If we lead our families that way, our family's going to become scared of us. And, we should be, as men and as dads and as husbands, we should be a safe place for our family to come. Like they should know. I mean, at the end of the day, where are they going to get that unconditional love from a father or a husband if they're not getting it at home? There's nowhere else that our wives can go, unless she goes in the arms of another man, which hopefully that's never the case. But and our kids, where are they going to go if they can't come to us? And so we want to make sure that we're not leading out of our insecurities and making our families afraid of us. I have a little boy, and I'm really careful with making sure my anger is under control. If I'm having a bad day or frustrated with things going on in my life, and then maybe he does something that is frustrating a little bit more. Maybe he's 2.5 years old, so sometimes he's throwing a fit over not getting an extra pancake or something like that, and that stuff can kind of stir and test our patience. But man, I'm always reminding myself that he's a little boy and he needs my love. That doesn't mean that I don't discipline him, but I don't use anger. I don't fly off the handle and scream at him and become scary, because I'm bigger than him, right? And I'm scarier than him, and he's got a 2-year-old mind, so he's not interpreting like what's going on in the same way that I am, or the way that I think he is. And at the end of the day, he's either going to become afraid of me, or he's going to think that, somehow there's something wrong with him because, I'm always angry at him. And kids, they're not equipped to think things through and use a lot of really positive self-talk like us adults. We're not always great at it either, but like we are. And so, man, I'm really careful when it comes to my family, especially my kids, that they're not afraid of me. And I'll tell you what, that takes work, because what we have to remember as guys is that when we get angry, we can go pretty big, pretty fast. And so being that good leader is really being a servant. It's not trying to control and dominate and, get my family to serve me. They're not here to serve me. I'm here to serve them. So what does that look like? Because we just talking about, some ideas that I had of unhealthy leadership, the domineering, but what does the healthy servant look like? Well, let me just tell you what it's not. It doesn't mean that you're a doormat. It doesn't mean that that you have no voice, that, you're just a slave to have to do, all kinds of stuff that you don't want to do or anything like that. So don't think that. I think that husbands and fathers, we need to have confidence. We need to be humble, but it's not that we're weak. It's that we realize our strength, but we keep it under control, right? And I think that being a leader is you're going to have ideas and opinions, and you should share those things as the leader of your household. But remember that as you're making decisions or sharing opinions or whatever that looks like, the goal is to serve your family. So that's my mindset as I'm deciding things, is I'm thinking about how are these decisions going to first affect my family. And so that is like that first piece of being a servant for my family that comes into play, is I'm not just like showing up and swinging my weight around. I'm actually leading so that my family can thrive, right? And that's my mindset, is I'm a leader so that these guys can have the life that that they deserve and that they want to have, and I'm a protector. So if you're a dad or a husband, you are the last man standing. You are the guy who's gonna, that God has put in place to protect and serve your family. And so as I'm making decisions too, I'm considering, am I putting my family in harm's way? Am I making sure that they're protected and things like that? But ultimately, the goal is to be that servant for my family, even though I'm the head of my household, and even though at the end of the day sometimes I may have the last say. I'm always considering how my decisions are going to affect these guys, my kids and my wife. And just so you know, me personally, Chelsea and I, my wife Chelsea, we co-lead. Even though I'm the last man standing, a good leader makes space for other voices to be heard and isn't always just swayed by their own opinion. So, oftentimes, Chelsea and I, when we're talking through stuff, she'll have better idea than I will, and a lot of times there's things she's better at than I am. And so I will defer to her, whether it's finances or whatnot. She's great at a whole, bunch of things that I'm just not that great at. And so I will, submit to her leadership in the marriage. And so that's an important piece too, is to not think that, okay, I'm the leader now and nobody has a voice. That's not good leadership either. So you want to make sure that you're listening to everybody. Everybody has a place in the conversation to share and to not feel threatened by you, right? And to feel seen and all that. And I find all the time that my wife is way more on point than I am, and then other things she'll defer to me. But at the end of the day, my leadership isn't about being right or wrong, and it's not about being in charge. It's not about like, hey, I better get the final word. It's none of that stuff. It's, I'm going to be the guy that is laying his life down for his family, that is devoted to protecting and serving my family. And I think that's what real, leadership looks like in the context of marriage. We'll talk about more stuff like this, and different ideas that might pop up. But I think if you can understand that piece, that you are a servant of your family. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're passive. It actually means that you're pretty strong, because it takes a lot of strength to serve your family. It's a lot, guys. It's not easy, and but we're guys, right? And so we're not just looking for the easy way. It takes a lot, and it takes saying no to self a lot, and it can be, you know, it can be the hard path through certain seasons, but man, I'm dedicated, you know, to my family. And you know, if anybody's expendable when it, you know, that's me. Not that I'm worthless or you can get rid of me, but like, you know, for instance, if somebody breaks into my house at night and you know, tries to attack my family, you better believe I'm the guy going out there first. And so anyway, I think it's just important stuff to talk about. If you guys have questions, just hit me up. But be humble, be chill, be cool, but serve your family. And they will be blessed. And because they're blessed, you're going to be blessed too. Anyway, thank you guys.